vocabulary. I know you know nouns, but are you a pro at pronouns? They replace nouns, and I'm sure you've seen pronouns like me, her, you, and we. A pronoun must be in agreement with the word it replaces the antecedent. Pronouns are a way to make your sentences less repetitive.
If you say Pete got Pete's mirror and Pete looked at Pete, what? That sentence has way too many Pete's. Let's replace some names with pronouns. The names are antecedents, they're about to go down. Pete got his mirror, he looked at himself. Those pronouns are way better, they really help. That line is written in the third person.
English teachers will lose their minds if you incorrectly use the words there, and there, while at the same time completely ignoring centuries of medical science, basic biology, and simply common sense.
Poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh, Lord, yeah.
This country is the stupidest it's ever been. With all the college education, the country has become dumber and dumber and dumber. Because what the kids learn in college today is less than what your father learned in high school by the 9th grade. You've learned nothing in college other than this and other than that, and I don't have to go into the litany of what I have to say about colleges today. And believe me, I'm a man who loves learning. I'm a man with many higher degrees. So don't think that I'm an anti-education man. I love learning. I love it very dearly, and I've spent most of my life in school, in colleges and universities before coming into this field. But we are stupider as a nation as a result of the college educations today than we were than your father got out in a high school education.
You were comparing the Bible to books that you read at school. What did you mean by that?
Well, in English class, we're reading Shakespeare. And I hate reading that. I do. It's because nobody talks like that. You don't talk like that. I don't talk like that. So if somebody were to hand me a Bible, and I were to open it up and read, and thou shalt gather the spoil of it into the midst of the streets thereof, wherein thou shalt this and that. I mean, I understand whether, that's the language of the day, but I don't get it. And I'm not going to read that. I'm not.
To you. That the King James translators, to avoid confusion, brought these words in so that we would know the difference between singular conversation and plural conversation. All the new Bible versions just wreck the verses by taking out what I call the distinctive markers of the King James Bible, thee, thou, thy, thine, and ye. They take those out, they replace it with the generic you, and they leave you wondering who he's actually talking about in the verses, because they don't make the distinction between when he's talking singular about one person or when he's talking plural about a group of people, or whether he's doing both, as in both of these verses I'm showing you here. He's doing both, talking both singular on the one hand and plural on the other, and the only way you know what's happening is the use of the distinctive markers, thee, thou, thy, and thine for singular, you, your, and ye for plural. Now,
you've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic.
For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace.
The word you. Now, there's a big problem with replacing thee, thou, thy, thine, and ye with a simple generic you. And here's the problem. The word you can be singular, talking about one person, or the word you can be plural, talking about a lot of people. The King James translators were aware of that, and they did not want to have to leave the Bible up for you to try to figure out what it meant. So in order to make the King James Bible easy to understand, they brought in thee, thou, thy, and thine, the T words, for singular use of the word you. For the plural use of the word you, they brought in Y words, you, your, and ye. So if there's a singular conversation, one person talking to one person about one person, they would use a T word, thee, thou, thy, and thine. If it's one person talking about a group of people, they would use a Y word, you, your, or ye.
To make your sentences less repetitive.
I'll make some mistakes, see if you can catch. Here are lines where the pronouns don't match. Sue put on his boots, they were new. No way unless you're talking about a boy named Sue, or unless the boots belong to a dude. It should be her boots if they belong to Sue. The gender of the pronouns must agree. Next, and
from the Bible, where the these and the ye's and all are used, and I'm going to show you how the new Bibles destroy these verses by simply using the generic you. We're going to be going to John chapter 3, verse 6 and 7. John chapter 3, verse 6 and 7. This is what it says in the King James Bible, and I want you to remember the rule. Remember the rule. T words are singular, thee, thou, thy, and thine. In a conversation, the T words are singular. The Y words, you, your, and ye, are plural, meaning they're talking about more than one person. They're talking about more than just the person that's being spoken to. Remember the rule. John chapter 3, verse 6 and 7 in the King James Bible says, that which is born of flesh is flesh, that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I say unto thee, ye must be born again. Now, this is the conversation between Jesus and Nicodemus, who came to him privately asking him questions. Listen to the wording of what Jesus is saying, because Jesus told Nicodemus, ye must be born again. And Nicodemus didn't understand what he meant. And Jesus said, verse 7, marvel not that I said unto thee. Thee is a T word, therefore it's singular, meaning that he's talking to Nicodemus about Nicodemus. Now notice how the wording changes from the T word singular to the Y word plural, meaning that now he's going to be talking about a group of people. Watch how he changes it. Verse 7 again. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. The first part of the verse, he's talking to Nicodemus about Nicodemus. The second part of the verse, he has the Y word, ye. Ye means all of you. All mankind must be born again. All mankind that's ever lived.
With all the college education, the country has become dumber and dumber and dumber. Because what the kids learn in college today is less than what your father learned in high school by the 9th grade.
For example, that's perfectly grammatical.
But I wouldn't say, you hear what it said. That's rude, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say that it is dehumanizing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't ever be a voice for the entirety of the trans community. Some people may self-select to use it.
Right.
But it in general is quite a dehumanizing approach.
Doesn't this
And please remember that even if you haven't heard of she, it pronouns, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. It just means that you haven't heard of them. But here I am to teach you, so please come along with me, and together we can make the world a much better and safer place. This is June. She uses she, it pronouns. This means you have to use both pronouns interchangeably, not just one. Please respect my child and use its pronouns. We love her very much, so we are going to be using these pronouns from now on while referring to it.
Must be born again. That distinction is not brought out in the new Bible versions. The distinction that Jesus starts off talking about Nicodemus and then changes gears and starts talking about everybody, that's never brought out in the new Bible versions, because they take out the thee and the ye and they replaces it with the generic you. And they have Jesus.
And she called to say that it's really not good to use anything more than a 2-syllable word in a book if you expect it to reach the people. And Phil reminded her that syllable is more than a 2-syllable word.
Some pronouns we got working. Sue was on her horse, she rode through the night. If the pronouns get plural, what would that be like? Sue free, he and they escaped. They got on their steeds and they rode away.
A 4-year-old in my class today was naming all the girls in class, and then she said my name. And I just tell her, I'm not a girl, don't include me. And then another 4-year-old whipped around, she's like, mixed kid is a people. And another 4-year-old at a different table looks at her and goes, they're a they. Made my non-binary teacher heart very happy today.
I usually love my job, but lately, the one driver that doesn't listen just constantly misgenders me. I usually love my job. I love working with these kids. I love doing it. There's only 20 more days left in the school year. I'm tired of getting misgendered and ignored all the time by her. She doesn't listen. I correct her all the time, and she just doesn't listen.
Can basically identify male and female just by looking. Occasionally there are people who are more difficult to identify, and we try to be tactful, but it's not just socially ascribed. It relates to a physical reality reflected in our voices, our appearances, in all kinds of ways.
For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace.
You're gonna give me my fucking money back.
Excuse me, sir. There's a young man in here.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I can call the police if you'd like me to. You need to settle down.
You need to settle down and mind your business, okay? Ma'am, once again, ma'am.
I said both of you.
No, you said sir. Once again, it's ma'am.
I actually said both of you guys. It was general.
Right beforehand, you fucking said sir.
Sir? Okay.
He breathed fire right out of your mouth. Your mouth is his mouth, no doubt. Your and his are different points of view. Making sure they agree is what you gotta do. We're almost through. But wait, here's another example with a mistake. The prince thinks that their crown is great. That sounds okay. Nah, but wait. There is plural, but the prince is singular. They have to agree in number, I'm not kidding ya. So the prince thinks his crown is great. Yes, you're a pro now at the pronoun game.
Zero uses Zero's pronouns. Please respect my child and use Zero's pronouns. We love Zero very much, so we are going to be using these pronouns from now on while referring to Zero. If you need help navigating how to use Zero's pronouns, go to...
Now, I want to give you a few things to chew on just before we get started with the main part of this message. If I walked into a room that was filled with Bibles, and I picked up one and began reading it, how would you know that I'm reading the King James Bible? You would know it because you would hear what I call the distinctive markers of the King James Bible. The distinctive markers of the King James Bible are thee, thou, thy, thine, and ye. On occasion, you will run into those words in the King James Bible, and those words only appear when there's a conversation going on. Let me explain.
Is a great tragedy. I can't write books with only 2-syllable words. I don't want to...
Hey, but I don't get it, and I'm not going to read that.
You can identify as a bird all day long. That's not going to make you fly, now is it?
On all levels except physical, I am a wolf.
Point of view.
A pronoun must be in agreement with the word it replaces the antecedent. Pronouns are a way to make your sentences less repetitive. Repetitive. A pronoun must be in agreement with the word it replaces the antecedent. Pronouns are a way to make your sentences less repetitive. Repetitive.
English teachers will lose their minds if you incorrectly use the words there, and there, while at the same time completely ignoring centuries of medical science, basic biology.
For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace.